Oh,
Well, hello. I'd
didn't mean
like to
to.
welcome Dr. Susan Bernstein to the
Bernstein.
Bernstein. Hello. I'd like to welcome Dr. Susan Bernstein, which I didn't know that, to Her-Tastic Journey. I really appreciate Dr. Susan hopping on. Her and I have known each other for, my gosh, over a year now. And she has graciously said, yes, I'll be on your podcast. And so thank you, Dr. Susan. I certainly appreciate that. So
Oh,
Dr.
thank you, Dr.
Susan is
Charlotte.
the she is the CEO of the boutique consulting firm Powerful Under Pressure, which helps leaders and teams excel under the most demanding conditions. Her clients are leaders at Athleta, Bloomberg, Cisco, Google, and Uber, just to name a few. She navigates high stakes decisions amid relentless pressure and uncertainty. With an MBA from UC Berkeley and leadership roles at Intel and Accenture, Dr. Susan brings deep expertise in strategic foresight, organizational complexity. Her PhD in somatic psychology as a critical but often overlooked dimension, the ability to lead and perform under sustained pressure. In a field where system resilience is paramount, she focused on the human side of resilience, the capacity of leaders and teams to stay clear, focused, and effective in high stress situations and environments. Dr. Susan developed the powerful under pressure framework, which I really want to hear all about that, to help organizations strengthen operational capacity by increasing the resilience and clarity of the people leading them. This emphasis equips teams to navigate complexity with sound judgment and sustained performance. Did I get that right, Dr. Susan?
Yeah, thank you, Charlotte.
Oh, thank you. So again, welcome. I appreciate um, your coming on her tastic journey. So with
Uh,
that, let's hear about it.
what can I answer for you or share that would be helpful for you and your audience?
Tell me how you got started. How did the powerful under pressure framework? How'd that come about?
It probably started over 30 years ago when I was still in management consulting and drove myself way too hard, and wound up on the floor, face up, in front of a group of senior leaders in a major healthcare company. I passed out from complete exhaustion and took a month off of work, a medical leave, while I was at Accenture. And looking back, that's probably the genesis of me getting really interested in resilience. And in addition to earning an MBA and working in big strategic roles at places like Intel and Accenture, I went back to school for a PhD in what's known as somatic psychology, otherwise known as mind-body psychology. And what I started being really intrigued with is the notion that we know a lot about our mental power in business. We now know a lot more than we ever used to about our emotional power, thanks to things like emotional intelligence. But what we leave out of the equation very frequently is our physiological, our physical power to deal with stress, tension, pressure, friction, and that we can make micro shifts that allow us to access, to calm our emotions, to access better mental power that allows us then to live in our purpose and our, whether that's our personal purpose, our business purpose, or both, to be better in relationship to our coworkers and to really create solutions when we're under pressure. But if we don't have all of the mental, emotional, and physiological or physical capacity, then we can be drained of energy. We can be drained of power that's already in us. And so we look at those six powers: the power of our mental, emotional, physical, or physiological purpose, relational, and creative powers as individuals, as teams, and as organizations.
Oh, Dr. Susan, that is amazing. This is the first time that you've shared this with me. That is, I
Yeah.
mean, when you talk about powerful, each of those categories are have so much immense power just in themselves. And so I want to go back to how did you get up off the floor?
I literally had to be picked up, and it was very embarrassing. But a friend of mine suggested that during the month-long medical leave, suggested that I go to a place with a funny name but really smart research behind them, a place called the Institute for Heart Math. And it's a really strange heart math, what? But they teach about the resonance of the heart. And it was my first clue into I'm not paying attention to my body. My mind was telling me uh, you're exhausted, take a break. But then it would also tell me, drive yourself harder. You can't afford. I was up for promotion, and my mind kept saying, if you don't get this promotion, then what's going to happen? And so I had been in a car accident 2 weeks prior to passing out, but I refused to tell anybody because I was afraid that I was going to look like a wimp.
Oh my
And we
gosh.
expected to work. We expected to bill a minimum of 60 hours a week at that point. And that's a lot. And it's exhausting. And, people would never brag about working 80-hour work weeks. That was not a big deal. It was, well, I did 100. And it's pretty ridiculous what people were up against. And what I started realizing is that we can make small shifts in our vision, like literally how we look at the world physiologically through our eyes, not just what our vision is in our mind, but where we put our eye gaze impacts how we feel, how we use our literal inspiration, our breath can be calming and help us to make better decisions, help us to have greater executive presence when we need it. We can use our voice in ways that can soothe ourselves and help others to be in resonance with us and to gain agreement, to gain buy-in. We can use our touch, good touch, of course, like literally a hand on a heart, our own heart can help us to take a breath, be present, be in this moment. And we can use movement, little tiny micro movements. Like our moms were right. Sit up a little straighter and you're going to feel more present. But we integrate all 5 of those elements into the 6 elements that I talked about earlier when we're working with leaders. Because what we know is that when leaders are under pressure, they often, the biggest problem for leaders is that they wait to take care of that pressure. And what we know from Gartner, we know from McKinsey, is that when leaders wait to make decisions and they wait too long, it can cost them up to 15% of their revenues, and they can be up to 30% slower than their competitors. So that adds up to an organization. So we're always suggesting to organizations, if you're feeling pressure, so right now those pressures might be tariffs, those pressures might be dealing with changes in DEI laws, or those pressures might be integrating AI into their organization. If their leaders are not making decisions about issues like that within 30 days, they run the risk of having these incredible, they lose their competitive advantage, they can fall behind in the marketplace, and they're going to have financial impacts. So we are big believers in reach out to us or somebody else to help. You need to reach out to a leadership development company or to a management consulting organization. We happen to combine both because you have to do it now. You can't afford to wait. And what we watch, if I talk about in physiological language, we watch 2 extremes. We watch the extreme of freeze, deer in headlights. We don't know what to do, so we're frozen. Or we watch frenzy. We'll try this, we'll try this, we'll try this, we'll try this. And neither one of those is a place of calm clarity from which they can make decisions. That's what we help with.
So how did you get here though? We're talking about your tastic journey. Dr. Susan's tastic journey. How did you get here?
Yeah. So
And how did you
I
right
was
so
a
2 weeks you
management
got into a
consultant,
car accident.
right? I was a management consultant for 5 years at Accenture.
Okay.
And then I made the decision, I actually made a pivot and went into a startup that went dot bomb in the dot com era. At the same time, my marriage did, my health fell apart. I almost lost my dad to a traumatic injury, lost my job, and had 2 surgeries all in a 5-week period.
I mean, talk about some bricks.
Right? It was
These are
intense.
some bricks being thrown, or
Yeah, it was
softballs or
intense.
hardballs. I mean, the buildings are crumbling.
But what I
Prior
learned
to
about
that,
my
had
own
you seen
resilience,
anything? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
what I
Susan.
learned about my own resilience was to listen within. I
Okay.
hadn't been doing that. I was always like, you tell me what to do. Or, I didn't go to any psychics, but I would like read books, like maybe this will tell me what to do instead of listening internally. So when I listened internally, I just realized I wanted to go back to school and get this PhD in mind body psychology. While I was doing that, I went back to my own MBA program at UC Berkeley's Haas School of Business and started coaching MBAs on career change to make money while I was doing my PhD. Then those people came back to me and said, I need you to coach my friend, my colleague, my family member. So in 2005, I hung out my own shingle as a coach, helping people in career transition. Then those people came back to me and said, you helped me find this great job, but now I have a crazy boss or difficult politics, or I'm not getting promoted. Can you help? Very organically morphed myself into an executive and leadership coach. And then those people came back to me and said, can you help in-house? We have a problem, like we're not making a decision on a new product that we need to get out, or we have to comply with a government regulation that means we need to reorg and we can't agree on a reorg plan. Can you help us? Or we have leaders who are fighting with each other. Can you help us navigate this conflict? And so I morphed very naturally to do that and brought on other people to work with me. And now we made a decision last year that we saw so many companies, teams, and leaders under pressure that we renamed ourselves Powerful Under Pressure, because we realized we have an incredible suite of coaching methodologies and training and other approaches to help leaders, teams, and organizations regain their power
So
when they're
I love that you're talking about now, and I'm love that you went back to 2015, 2005. But I still don't know anything about Susan. Where did
what you
you grow
want to
up?
know.
Other than I do know from
I grew
our
up where you
talking,
live now.
I
I grew
know
up in the Phoenix
I
area.
know you were in the desert, but you wanted to be in the trees. That much I do know, but I don't know anything
Yeah.
about Susan other than Susan's business, which is fantastic. We're gonna.
Yeah. Um, I'm curious what you'd like to know, but mostly I grew up in the Phoenix area. I did my undergrad at University of Arizona. I did my MBA at Berkeley, and then I did my
Where in Phoenix did you grow up? So what high school did you go
uh,
to?
I went to Chaparral.
Ah, I went to McClintock.
Okay.
Yes,
Sounds
and I
okay.
also went to U of A.
Yeah.
I know when you sent when
Yes.
Austin and I
You're
were
around
hiking,
Arizona.
when Austin and I were hiking a mountain, you said, "Hey, I want to see the other A mountain." And I
And
was
you know what I
actually in
meant.
Tucson yesterday to do for an event, doing some training out there, and I said, "Oh, there's the mountain," and I thought of you. Yeah,
Ah, sweet. Yeah, I love Tucson. I really love Tucson.
I do too. That's where Austin and I met. We met in Tucson.
Yeah, Tucson is my go-to place when I need a good decompression
It's a very small little city.
with big energy.
Yeah, and great food.
Oh my God, the best Sonoran Mexican food.
Really,
Oh,
really made my mouth water when I said that. So
yes.
then you found yourself at U of A, then you found yourself going to Berkeley. It's kind of the same little vibe, right? Because Tucson has that vibe. And
It has its own wild vibe for
yes,
sure.
yes.
Berkeley has a lot of history, very much a city with pioneers, renegades, visionaries, people who like to walk on the edge. And that's where I really felt at home. I felt really at home there.
And now you find yourself,
In the Washington, D.C. area, which I
yes.
moved to. So I had worked for a U.S. congressman from Tucson. in the DC office in college. And I felt called back here when a girlfriend moved here about 2.5 years ago. And I came out to visit her, and I just fell back in love, first of all, with the greenery. It's just so lush
It
here.
is. It is.
Um, and the culture and this is a place that attracts people from around the world. So I really appreciate that I can get a taste of the world anytime here, literally to taste and, the cultural. And of course, things like the museums that are here and the cultural events that come. It's definitely a place where I get my intellect on. I love going to lectures here, and there are plenty of them, and just meeting really dynamic, interesting people. Right now, my big focus is cybersecurity and meeting a lot of people in that realm because it's fascinating to me. There are people who are under pressure all the time. You think about cyber events that can happen, like breaches and ransomware attacks. And those are the kinds of things that can happen. Um, and you have to be ready for them 24/7, 365 without letting down both and be ready for things both known and especially unknown. And that takes a lot of toll on humans. So I spent a lot of time talking to leaders in that field and working with them to help um, develop strategies so that their people can be their most powerful under pressure.
So if you were to close your eyes right now and you're on your Tastic journey, Dr. Susan's Tastic journey, and you were to picture yourself in 3 years, where do you see yourself?
Mm. So one, we have a book out. It's a bestseller on how to be powerful under pressure. And we're quoted in Fast Company and Forbes and Fortune, HBR. But what's really important is that we're helping leaders in major organizations from the top down, at the leadership level, at the team level, at the individual level, to help people really bring out their best in a culture that we humans are not, our nervous systems are not designed for the level of pressure that we face. So we have to optimize that ourselves.
So time
And
out.
yeah,
Where's Susan at? I hear about
at
Susan's
the helm
business.
there. I'm running
I
that
hear
and
about
doing
Susan's business, but where's Susan
I'm
at?
speaking, I'm speaking all over the world and teaching all over the world
I
about
love
how to
that.
do that.
So we just have a couple of seconds left. How can we find you?
And you can find us on our website, powerfulunderpressure.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn, Dr. Susan Bernstein, based in the Washington, D.C. area.
Thank you again. I appreciate you, Dr. Susan, being
Bye-bye.
on. Um, I really do treasure our friendship, and I look forward to going through the journey with you.
Likewise, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.